New businesses from around the globe are redefining the internet with the potential to take over. The current wave of online entrepreneurs are captivating the digital generation. Join me, Dan Brown, as I dig deeper into the internet's business scene and spend time with the voices behind the movement. This is Digital Business Billionaire. And hey, listen, if you want show transcripts and show notes for each episode emailed to you so you have everything available to you, you can go over to dbbshow.com right now and sign up to get those. So every time there's a new episode, we'll also email you the transcripts so you can read through them and the show notes with any resources or links we mention in the show in case you want to check that stuff out. And all you have to do is go over to dbbshow.com and sign up, and you'll get those delivered right to your email inbox. Hey, and welcome to the Digital Business Billionaire Show. It's your host, Dan Brown, and my guest today is serial entrepreneur Chris Reckert. Chris has been teaching entrepreneurs exactly how to boost their effectiveness and online business in the process. And while Chris is an entrepreneurial educator, he specializes mainly in social media and direct sales. So that's what's on the agenda today. Get out your notepad and get ready because we're about to dive right in here. Are you ready, Chris?
I'm ready, and I'm glad to be on the show today.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you. And let's start with just kind of your story. What were some of the pivotal moments that led to, you being a kid and then to your rise?
Yeah, I'll go a little ways back. Here, let me just share something pretty cool with your audience that people don't know about me. People know me as this guy now who's running a successful business and Facebook advertiser, stuff like that. But if I tell you where I got started from, it's going to just trip you out. And so my parents were hippies, super hippies, meaning they lived off the grid. They actually lived in a teepee in the mountains in Oregon. And this is a true story. As crazy as this is going to sound, this is a true story. They lived like off the grid. They lived on sustainable land. They basically grew all their own vegetables and food and stuff like that. And they were part of a community of real legit hippies living out of teepees in the wild. And that is actually where I was born in Ashland, Oregon, in the mountains. I was born in a teepee way out there as a kid back in 1978. And there was no hospitals around. There was no anything around. And, it was just raw, primitive home birth at its finest, but home birth out of a teepee. And I love to share that because for the first couple years of my life, my parents literally hitchhiked around the country with me in like a little backpack with them, and even got they upgraded to a Volkswagen van, one of those VW vans after a while. And basically I was just one of those little kids who basically had traveling hippie parents, and we'd go from spot to spot to spot with a bunch of other hippies and hang out. Now, that eventually led us to the Santa Cruz, California mountains, where my dad stumbled across UC Santa Cruz, and it was this cool campus out in the Redwoods, and he became got his degree, whatever, became a teacher there, and started teaching. And that teaching job, we lived on campus there, that teaching job led to a computer programming job that he ended up getting for an upstart company. So here we were in a city, basically in the Silicon Valley at the time, where companies like, all these old companies like Yahoo and Amazon and AOL and all these big companies back in the day were launching. My dad happened to be just this hippie programmer for one of those startup companies, and I would always go into work with him and be exposed to computers. So I went from this hippie kid to this son of this computer programmer, and I developed this passion for computers and this passion to want to learn about them. And my dad would teach me things like how to type on a keyboard or how to play computer games. So instead of playing your traditional video games, I was playing these games on a computer where you would use arrows and keys. These old games like Rogue, for those of you that are like old school people, and where the characters were literally a capital D or a lowercase d. That was like the actual physical character of the video game. But that's where it all got started. And so what happened was I got attracted to computers, but then something happened and shook it all up. My parents got divorced, when they got divorced, I ended up mostly living with my mom. Now, my mom was on welfare, so she basically had Section 8 housing, which meant the government subsidized the housing significantly. She had welfare checks that she was depending on for paying basic bills, and food stamps for food, right? So when we went to the store, we were those people that were paying with the old food stamps. So growing up in that environment, I watched my mom kind of struggle, and I realized that's not how I want to live. So at a young age, literally like 11, 12, 13 years old, I said, you know what, screw it. This traditional path's not for me. I want to be an entrepreneur. And my first big dream was wanting to help my mom, wanting to be able to pay her bills for her so she didn't have to worry about anything, didn't have to depend on the government. And that began this journey for me of a series of entrepreneurial ideas, most of which were failures, to be honest. And we could talk about that more if you want to dive in later on that. But it began this series of entrepreneurial activities. When I first started, there's stuff I wasn't proud of. I don't want to get into that right now, but it eventually turned into some really cool things that happened. And I found my stride in the early days. Back when I turned 21 years old, I joined network marketing. I joined the network marketing industry, and that's where I sort of learned the craft of being a home-based business owner, being an entrepreneur, working from home. And to be honest, I didn't make a lot of money. I actually even built a big team, but I didn't make a lot of money. But I was a high school dropout. I dropped out in the 10th grade, so I didn't have any schooling under my belt. And that industry, the network marketing industry, accepted me. I didn't have to have a high school degree, college diploma. I didn't have to have any sort of job application, resume, nothing like that. I could just put down a little bit of money, fund my own business, and give it a shot, at least try. And that's why I have a lot of respect for that industry. It's where I got my start. And it's not what I do now, but that's where I basically learned the craft of personal development and sales. I would go to these seminars, and I would be reading books every single day, personal development books, and I'd be listening to audios. I probably listened to, I'm 36 now, I'm 21, and I'd have to say if I had to roughly guess, I'd probably listen to over 1,000 personal development audios between tapes and CDs. And in terms of personal development books, I mean, just dozens and dozens and dozens. I mean, I was never a big reader, but still dozens and dozens and dozens of books. So that was my schooling. My schooling was the School of Hard Knocks mixed with some entrepreneurship and grind. I grinded it out. Now, I never made money until my breakthrough, which came at around 24 years old. That whole computer thing came full circle. I saw that there was these things called blogs that came out, and I started blogging, and then Google AdSense came out, and I started blogging and SEO, and I started ranking my sites in Google and learning how to be able to do this, and I put ads on my sites, and I started making money for the first time in my life. I went from this broke, hustling kid to this young kid that was making, $3,000 a month and $5,000 a month and $10,000 and $20,000 a month, all from Google AdSense and from Amazon.com. And that really sparked my journey. So I have to say that was the turning point when I was about 24 years old. After years of grinding, I made my first six figures and realized this can work. I realized this is real, this can work. It takes hard work, but the grind finally paid off. All the hustle finally paid off. Everything finally paid off. And that is, for all the people that are listening, I'll tell you, some of you have already hit your stride and you're making six figures. You're looking for something just to give you that extra 10% edge. But for a lot of you listening, you might not have hit your stride yet. And I'm going to tell you, I was in your shoes. I was broke. I was hustling. I was grinding. I was working 100-hour weeks, but getting paid less than the guy that worked at McDonald's. And I just knew that if I just have faith and I grind this thing out, it'll be worth it. And I failed and failed and failed and failed and failed until finally I had a breakthrough. And once I had that breakthrough, I started making, depending on the year, between 6 to 7 figures in business revenue every single year. And it had to have a breakthrough first. And that breakthrough was really hard to get to. And I felt like giving up almost all the time. But I hung in there through personal development and just figured out a way to make it work. Fast forward to so if you want to hear any more of that story, you can ask me more questions, Dan. But just to wrap it, fast forward to where I am today. I'm now married. I've got 2 kids. They're both still young. They're both still in diapers, 2 boys. And I run a company. I got a great partner, a great team, a lot of people that I work with every single day. And now we build software solutions. We do product launches. And, we're really trying to build this thing big and trying to change lives and trying to empower as many people as we can. And that's sort of my passion. That's what I wake up to do is family and then my friends and my work. And It doesn't even feel like work when you love what you do. So Dan, I don't know if you want to ask more about that or transition, but that's
Yeah, that's amazing, Chris. I appreciate you going so deep into that. I didn't even know that, you're where you were born and everything like that, your whole journey. That's awesome. One thing that you said that I just want to touch on is you talked about how you failed over and over and over again, and personally, I think that's so important. I know many of my mentors, they failed over and over again before they really hit their stride. It took you a couple years. You said you started when you were 21. You really hit your stride when you were like 24. So in your 15 plus years of accruing knowledge here and experience, what would you say, and we'll talk about your obstacles and everything like that later, but in your experience, what would you say, knowing what you know now, is the most leveraged strength that you possess right now as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about strengths. And let me segue with what you just said, though. It's like I started at 21. I mean, I may have officially started at 21, but I had that entrepreneurship in my blood. But yeah, 21 is when I really first figured it out. I mean, I was selling. I was in sales before then, so that's an experience. So 21 is when I really joined a company that I really believed I could actually go out and create a huge income.
Got some skin in the game.
Yeah, 21 to 24, I don't have my exact years right, but roughly there. I think it was about 4 years, so I don't know how many years the exact years are. What I want to say about that is it seems like, for some of you, it seems like a long time, meaning that if it took you 4 years from today, you'd probably be bummed. And for some of you, it seems like a short time, meaning you've been going at it for many years, and maybe 4 years seems like nothing, okay? Everybody's different. But here's the thing. It wasn't just 4 years, man. It was 4 years of, I was working no less than 80 hours a week as an entrepreneur. I didn't work a job during those years. I grinded it, living in a 250 square foot studio, eating top ramen and coffee sometimes. I would scrape change out of my couch to try to afford a coffee so that it would curb my appetite for many, many hours so I could go out there, and I would go door to door, business to business, or meeting to meeting, and I would sit down with anybody and try to pitch them or sell them or something. And I hustled so hard, and there was many months where there was no way I was going to pull together and make it work. And then there was months where I made money, but I had to catch up on the past month. So let me say, it took a few years for me to crack the code and get to 6 figures or 7 figures, but those few years were really hard. And so when you talk about failure, it's you asked me what my strength is. You know what my strength is? My strength is enduring failure and learning from it and growing from it. You see, some people, failure really, what it does is it derails them. Failure derails a lot of people. When something goes bad, it derails them. And I look at challenges and I embrace them. So when something crazy happens, I go, okay, this is just another challenge, right? And as I learn to overcome this challenge, I'm going to get stronger. So that develops strength. And here's another way I look at it, is that, in order to be the kind of person that earns 6 figures a year as an entrepreneur, it's not just what you do, like what you sell or what company you're with or what your business is. It's not really all that. It's you become a kind of person that can handle that level of pressure, that level of finance, be a good steward of the money. There's all these things, right? So I believe that we have to become the kind of people. So when I was broke, or even when I worked odd jobs, I was always trying to be the hardest worker there, even when I was broke. When I was in my own business, I was outworking every single person. When I was in network marketing, I went and I found out what are all the top people in my area doing, what's the best, activity that they're doing. And if somebody was saying, wow, that guy right there, he showed the business plan 30 times this month to somebody else, I would say, okay, I may not be as smart as him. I may not have as much money as him. I may not have a college degree like him, but I can outwork him. And what I would do is I would always outwork people. So my strength is the ability to fail, learn from it, grow, and adapt, and to be able to outwork anybody. So it's like, and of course, can I outwork everybody? No, there's some hustlers out there, but toe-to-toe, that's the most even thing. I may not have the same level of education as you. I may not have the same family resources as you. I may not have the same good credit as you, or whatever it might be. But toe-to-toe, can I put in more hours than you put in? Can I sacrifice more sleep than you sacrifice? Or can I do more? That's where I grab my ambition from, my drive from. And what I do is I look for people to surround myself with that have that drive. One of the reasons that I formed a company here and have a partner here with me helping is that I finally met somebody who can put in long hours and can sustain it and really put in a high level of work at long hours and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, hey, I met someone that can kind of operate at my level, and I believe that is like, that's my strength, is to be so passionate. Last night, let me give you a real example. Last night I slept definitely not more than 3 hours last night, probably 2.5 hours. And today, this is my fifth interview of the day already, where I've done, my last interview before this was 2 hours long. So I've done 5 interviews today. I've operating a company, doing all this stuff, doing so much stuff. Operating at that level, it's a challenge to me, and I embrace it. And here's what happens. I get so passionate about it that I don't even want to take a nap. It's like I'm just so excited. Now, of course I will. I'm going to make sure I'm in good health and good rested, make sure I'm eating, but it's when you're passionate, when you embrace failure and you look at it as a challenge and you realize it's going to make you stronger, and then you basically go out there and you take massive action and pour on a hard work ethic, it's like you get filled with this passion that you can do it. And you just got to keep that momentum going until you have your breakthrough. Once you do, man, business gets so fun. Life gets so fun. So that's kind of a weird about way to answer what the strength is, but it's sort of the real story today. Literally, I'm on very little sleep, still challenging myself to operate at a high level, still challenging myself to deliver as much value as possible to each and every single person that I interact today, and each and every single person that might hear the result of that interaction. I'm going to bring it. I'm going to bring myself to the best level that I can, despite circumstances, despite something that might be going on in my life, despite something that might be going on with my family, despite something that, a circumstance that's maybe unavoidable. I'm still going to challenge myself to bring my A game in everything that I do. And I would hope that maybe somebody's inspired that's listening to go, you know what, we all have circumstances and we all have challenges. Why not embrace them? Why not embrace them and go, you know what, God's just testing me to see how bad I really want it. Walls aren't there to keep you out. They're there to see how bad you really want it. If you really want it, that wall is not even an obstacle, right? It's easy. You're gonna get through it, under it, around it, over it. You're gonna get creative, but some people see that wall as an obstacle, and some people get knocked back and knocked back and knocked back. I look at these obstacles as challenges and embrace them and move forward as much as I can.
And we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, and with your lack of sleep and everything. But your energy is so obvious and it's contagious. So I love that. And that, how you ended there, kind of segues into my next question, because you're talking about obstacles and how you embrace failure, you learn from it. So what would you say is the biggest obstacle that you've had to face in your entrepreneurial career?
Yeah, so I'll share some personal stuff. This one's something that's unique with me, and it's very hard whenever anybody asks you what was your biggest or what was the certain thing, because really, as an entrepreneur, it's almost like there's daily obstacles. It's like there's so many, it's hard to pick and pull. But I'll pick and pull one for your audience here that I'm not afraid to share, which is I was on top of my game, bro. In 2013. The beginning of 2013, I was on top of my game. I had a job at the time, but I took a job because I had a kid in diapers, and then on top of that, I had another kid on the way, and the job was a stock option opportunity where I could potentially make 7 figures from the stock position, and it paid a good salary. I think it was like $12,000 a month salary. I got to work from home. I got stock options in the company, and I could do a little bit of side business as well. So I was in a good position, and everything was good. We moved into a nice house. Everything was going great, and then I got hit with 3 major things all at once. Okay, and that's not even including a lot of other things. I could actually sit there and name about 6 things, but these 3 things happened like all in the same month. The first thing that kind of all in the same couple months, whatever. One of the big things that happened, and I don't know if these are in the exact order, but one of the big things is my wife's father died of cancer. He got diagnosed with cancer, and then really quickly after he died of cancer. And he's like the patriarch of the family. Well, I handle death pretty well. I think, it's part of life, and it just happens, and I kind of can get through it. But my wife really got knocked back by that. This was her dad. He was the patriarch of the family. This was a big deal. So what happened was she was shook up, and she was constantly going back 3 hours away home to be able to take care of all this kind of stuff. Now I'm working my business. I'm working this job 80 hours a week and some side business, and on top of that, I got the 2 kids in diapers that I'm handling during that entire time myself. Okay, and one of them was really young, was just barely just born. So that was like a really, really rough spot. My wife was really emotional. That put me in a place where it's like, wow, this is really, really tough right now. And then the next thing that happened was I couldn't put in the same the next thing that happened was my 2-year-old son, my older of the two, he got diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old. And it just happened out of nowhere. One day he stopped making eye contact. One day he started having a lot of signs. It got really crazy, and I was like, what's going on here? He was unresponsive and stuff. So we got him diagnosed, and sure enough, he had pretty severe autism. At least it was high-functioning autism, but it was still pretty severe. And it was really rough. It was like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't just focus on work. I've got to make sure to take care of him. So then what happened was I went to my job and was like, hey, I can't be putting in 80 hours a week right now between all that's going on. Can I cut back to 40 hours a week? But they weren't really looking for that. And I was such an executive at the place that one thing led to another. Without getting into the technical details of it, let's just say that I ended up having to leave making a decision that my family was more important to me at the time, had to leave that company and leave the opportunity for all the stock options that I was just about to get. I was literally just about to get all these massive options, and I just couldn't put in the amount of work. So I walked away from several $1 million of potential options there through that process, and it was bad. It was a bad emotional place, but between death, between a special needs child, and 40 hours a week of in-home therapy that we had to do to be able to help out there, and my business just kind of tanked, to be honest. Now the good news was I was on a high, so I had money coming in. So the best thing I could tell anybody is that, man, when stuff hits the fan, because it will, when it hits the fan, hopefully you got a good business going on that can get you through it. Because if financial matters are bad too, it's like the threat that's impossible to overcome, right? But at least I had some money to be able to pay some bills. So what I did was I kind of stepped back from everything and just focused on getting everything situated, focused on my son, focused on the family, focused on trying to make everything work out, focused on putting together a plan, and try to manage my business, but just lightly. And that was probably the biggest obstacle, because I actually got pretty emotionally drained, where I would do things like start sleeping in, and I would do things like, it was tough for me to be passionate about the projects I was working on anymore. And I just felt like just disconnecting, and it was hard for me to get back into beast mode, of work, until I came across an audiobook. I bought an audiobook on Amazon or wherever, iTunes or something, and it was called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And this was about, mid-2013, something like that. I can't even recall, but the 10, and I still had an image. People still saw me as very successful, and I still was making money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was making probably 20 to 50 a month, so it wasn't financially devastated, but it was going downhill. Meaning I was tracking and pacing towards literally losing it all. But luckily, I rebounded quickly. I was able to redirect all that negative energy and go, you know what? I'm blessed that my son, that I'm in a position to be able to take care of him. I'm blessed that my wife's a stay-at-home mom that can be there. I'm blessed that I've got enough money to pay for these services of 40 hours a week. I'm blessed that we can pay for things like house cleaners and get the help that we need. I'm blessed that we have the ability to take care of all the situation going on with my wife's dad. And I'm blessed that even though I lost a very big opportunity, I'm abound with opportunities everywhere. So what I did was I reframed everything. And I read this, I listened to that audiobook once, and I said, screw it. I'm putting this audiobook on replay. I'm just going to have it loop every day for 30 days in the background while I'm doing stuff. So literally, I had Grant Cardone talking to me for 30 days, motivating me, telling me to take massive action, telling me to just crush it. And that really was the big turning point for me, was, when I realized, okay, I've got things under control. I want to step it up, and now I want to step it up even bigger. And so I just started making moves. I bounced back, and so I reframed it. So it was that's one of the biggest obstacles that I can tell you about. Was there was a few months there where I just literally was drained. I was emotionally drained. I was tired of years of hard work. I just wanted to check out, go play golf and stuff. And then I just basically checked back in and said, you know what? I've got a purpose. I've got skills that I can teach people and help people. I can help change lives. It's bigger than me. I got to get out there and do something. And so I just found that inner passion. So thanks to Grant Cardone for that. I owe him, if I ever meet him in person, buy him a drink or something like that. But he basically helped turn me around in that moment. And it's been very, very uphill since then. Now, don't get me wrong. I could sit around and tell you 100 more obstacles, but that's just part of being an entrepreneur. One of the things Grant Cardone says in that book is he says, you know what you should do? Go out there and create problems. Go out there and create bigger problems than you've ever created in your life before. Go out there and create problems that are 10 times bigger than you've ever created, because you'll become, in the process of having to deal with those problems, you'll become stronger. You'll become a bigger person that those problems seem smaller, and that's when you know you're ready to play at the next level. You know, he goes, everybody thinks the success is just this, you know, grass is greener, oh, it must be so easy for them. But a lot of these big entrepreneurs, their problems sometimes make our problems look minor. Their problems are so big that they're dealing with so much drama, so many crazy things, but they've become bigger people that can handle problems at a higher level. So to them, their problems are no different than the problems you or I face, but they're monumental compared to ours. But they're bigger people. I guess I'll give you one analogy and pass back to you, but the analogy is like lifting weights. Okay, I'm a guy, I go bench press at the gym or whatever, you know, try to be macho. And so I start off small, like, you know, bench like 150 pounds or whatever, okay? And I'll do that 10 times. Well, then you slap on 200 pounds, and if I'm out of shape, it's like, man, this is super heavy. This is crazy. But if I go there, if I do that every couple days for a month even, just a month, I'm training my muscles a little bit. It's like, okay, 200 pounds, it seems light now. Now I'm going, hey, let's go up to 225. And it's like, well, I push it out 10 times, but barely. And then, but if I do that again every couple days or whatever, a few days for a few more months, then what happens is suddenly I can put up 250 like nothing. And I go to the gym with people who are my same, you know, people who are even bigger than me. And, you know, if I could put up 250 pounds or whatever and bench it a bunch of times, they go, holy smokes. Well, what you're doing is you're conditioning your muscles. You're becoming stronger, and it all happens so fast. And the thing is that the thing that happens is this: that same 150 pounds that I used to, you know, barely lift 10 times when I first got started, just a few months later, I go and I lift that 150 pounds and I feel like I could do it with one hand. That's how light it feels. Now here's the thing: the weight themselves, that weight didn't get lighter. I got stronger. Right? So the weight didn't change. The weight didn't get lighter, even though it feels twice as light. It didn't get lighter. And that's the analogy of problems. The problems, they actually are going to feel lighter as you get bigger, as you do more personal development, you learn how to reframe things, you learn how to be able to handle objections and crush it. As your problems that you currently have right now are going to seem small as you become a bigger person. But you're not going to stay at 150 pounds. You're going to want to go to 200, then 250 pounds, right? So you're not going to stay at this level of problems. Your problems are going to keep growing, but you're going to become a bigger person in the process. So at 250 pounds, it's just as hard to put up 10 reps as it was at 150 pounds when I first got started. So it's just as hard. Life is just as hard, but now I'm at a position where I could put up 250. So all it is that I've become a bigger person that can handle a bigger load, that I'm a little bit wiser, I'm able to handle more. And that's how I suggest people deal with these problems, is you become an overcomer. You figure out how to reframe these things and go, you know what? If I just keep developing myself and becoming a bigger person, I'm going to handle this stuff. This stuff is not going to seem so dramatic. Because the number one thing that I see people do, that's the biggest thing, is limiting beliefs. The biggest issue for all entrepreneurs that I've ever met is always limiting beliefs. They might even make a positive affirmation, but it's still a limiting belief. They look at other people, they compare themselves, and they don't believe they could be like them, or they think other people are such geniuses or something like that. Man, I was a kid who grew up, born in a TV, grew up on welfare, you know, a problematic kid, was broke for years, struggling, coffee and top ramen, until I had my breakthrough. I wasn't born with some crazy talent. This is straight up. I live in America, I work hard, and, you know, the difference is the path I chose is a path with unlimited opportunity as an entrepreneur. So you got to realize, man, everybody was where you are. Wherever you are as a listener, everybody was there. Yeah, all of us were there. Everybody was there. And where I am right now, it's not, I don't want to stay here, man. I want to go to 8 figures, 9 figures, and beyond. So in order to get there, I have to keep growing. I got to keep pushing it. I got to keep 10xing everything. And so that's my best possible advice for people, is you got to scratch those limiting beliefs, and you got to realize every single other person that's super successful, they also had to overcome things just like you have to overcome, and that's part of the process. Obstacles are part of the process. Walls are not there to keep you out. They're just simply there to see how bad you want it. So when you see a wall, do you turn around and go, I can't, I'm stuck? Or do you go, man, I'm going to prove how bad I really want this, and you figure out a way to the other side? And that's the only difference that separates, the high school dropout growing up on food stamps that succeeds to anybody else. Is just the walls were puny obstacles when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's great. I agree completely. You mentioned a few, like, so much info in there. One thing I want to pull out is the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I read that last year. Awesome resource. I'll have a link to that for our listeners if they want to check that out, because it's really great. It's about how to 10X your results by 10Xing your output, things like that. So it's a lot of cool stuff in there. I think it's amazing that you just looped that on audio for like a month. I created such a funny visual image for me, just picturing that in my mind. But I think now what I wanted to do is, I think I already know the answer to what I'm about to ask you, but for all of our listeners who are wondering this, what do you have now? What's one project you're working on that has you really fired up right now, really pumped?
Well, man, a lot of people don't know this about me. I've actually got probably 3 big projects maybe 4 actually, big projects going simultaneously. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just crazy, but that's all part of that 10X rule, right? It's that in order to 10X, you just got to go big. But the one project that I think I'm the most passionate about really just the one concept that I'm most passionate about is being able to work with people and being able to help them have a breakthrough and help them not only generate income, but generate breakthroughs, be able to actually rise up to the next level. So I love taking people from 5 figures a year to 6 figures a year to 7 figures a year. And of course, my time is very limited, so I very rarely do any kind of coaching or stuff like that, just because I've got so much going on. I mean, I'm here right now. I'm in an office. I've got, a floor full of people working and employees and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, I don't want to take time away from that. But what I love doing is training. I love training and mentoring, especially in groups. So right now I'm on the brink of a huge new course that I'm releasing. It's called Dark Post Profits 2.0. And it's a Dark Post Profits. Let me tell you what Dark Post Profits 1.0 was. Last year, 2014. Here, let me back up even one more second, because in case your listeners have no clue who I am or whatever, but in 2013, one of my best friends, he put up a fan page on Facebook, and he started placing ads to it. And he had gone through some courses and stuff, and he started getting penny likes to that page. So each real person that really likes that page cost about a penny, sometimes less. So he was able to build these pages up into the tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, very inexpensive, and then monetize those pages on Facebook. So he had like all these little businesses going where he had an outsourcer that was just going and making posts on them, and it would be like viral post, and then the 5th one would be like something he'd get paid off of, such as a CPA offer or selling a product or Amazon or whatever. This is in mid-2013. So I had him teach me the strategy since he was a good friend, and sure enough, I was able to do it. I built up a fan page very quickly to 100,000 fans, very inexpensive, and thought, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable, because you could spend $1,000 building a page and then turn around and monetize it for $20,000 almost overnight. I'm going, I've never seen money flipping like this easy, and I don't, you could just sit at home on your computer while watching movies, and you could pay outsourcers to do this stuff. So it just blew me away. So I kind of like dropped everything I was doing and started flipping money on Facebook, building out these big fan pages. Well, Facebook kept changing, and then in came, in late 2013, we got introduced to T-shirts. There was this company called Teespring that had come out, and it's called Print on Demand, where you can basically take a blank T-shirt, and you can put any slogan you want on it, and it gives you a sales page for that. So you basically it gives you a blank sales page with a T-shirt on it, write any slogan you want. Sorry about that. Write any slogan that you want, and then you can advertise that to your fan page. So, for instance, we had a fan page on The Walking Dead, the fan club for The Walking Dead TV show. And we started doing these shirts like I love Daryl or whatever, like this girl loves, this girl loves Daryl, or this is the future Mrs. Dixon after Daryl Dixon, the character. And women on that page started eating it up. I mean, they buy hundreds of these shirts at a time. And there was a good markup, like $8 markup. So it's like what? Like we can every time on a free post, we can make $500 from a free post. This is just crazy. So we were in the right place at the right time back then in 2013. Well, Facebook cracked down on that, and those posts started getting less exposure, and it kind of died down a little bit. But at the same time, I met this guy, Don Wilson, and a couple others, and they started talking about how, hey, why not just advertise that shirt directly to fans of The Walking Dead? Instead of just building up fan pages, what if you skip the whole process and just build a shirt for any niche? If somebody likes... for instance, let's say you place a Facebook ad and you target women who are 35 to 55 who love crocheting, and the shirt says something basic like about crocheting, like a funny slogan you see on Pinterest or something. And you put that on a shirt. You just have a designer design it for like $20 to make it look good. You throw it on a shirt. There's no cost at all to you, none at all, and then you just run ads. That's your only cost. But if you sell the shirt for like $25, I mean, you end up making like $15 off of it, and what happens is it takes you like $7 or whatever of ads to get one person to buy, but then you make 15, so you're basically doubling your money. Not everybody, but a lot of people were having success. So I just started flipping money, I basically paid a designer on Odesk, a little outsourcer, $25 per design, and said, just design me as many as you can. I'll give you 10 designs for $250. I threw them on shirts, and I started advertising to all these little niches, and man, it just started working. I mean, I had shirts that would make me like $20,000 in profit, and it was just this crazy wave, and everybody started asking me how on earth to do it. Train. And so what I did was I developed a course in April of 2014 called Dark Post Profits, because Facebook ads are called dark posts. That's what Facebook called them. So I did Dark Post Profits, and I taught my strategy, and that was revolutionary to this industry. I charged, it had 5,000. I charged a reasonable fee. I had 5,000 customers bought that product last year, or since last year. And that course changed so many lives. I have students, so many students that went on to make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in a single month. I like this guy Travis, $30,000 his first month, and he's very part-time at his mom's house, working on a computer at his mom's house, and or wherever he was. And he works for FEMA. So he does these projects that take him away for 3 months, and then he comes back and he just crushes out a $30,000 month like nothing. I've got examples like my friend Michael, who his friend had credit cards, tons of credit cards, and he said, hey, if this thing really works, try it out on a small level, and if it works, scale up. So Michael did a couple shirts, they were profitable, and they scaled it up, and no kidding, this is my good friend, no kidding. He made sold $1 million in T-shirts in his first month. $1 million in T-shirts on Facebook. Wow. Using Facebook ads his first month. Around half of that was profit, so about $500,000 in profit. Obviously, he split that up with the guy providing the credit cards, but still, man, so much money so fast. It was crazy, and I was part of this T-shirt phenomenon. And what happened was, people started making money left and right. And so that course was wildly popular. Then a lot of other courses came out too. And there's and basically everybody's been doing it. I've been running Facebook ads ever since. Well, what happened was it all got outdated. Facebook changed everything. A lot of the niches that people are selling T-shirts in got saturated, especially this year. So everybody said, Chris, man, there's got to be something new. Can you do an updated course, please? Because people said my course was the best one out there. Let me give you one more example testimonial. I had a guy contact me yesterday, and he said, Chris, you mind if I share my testimonial with you? I said, sure. He said, last year I made $300 as an entrepreneur. He said, this year I made $30,000 as an entrepreneur. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. That's crazy beast mode. But he wasn't done. He said, thanks to you, because you recommended the Grant Cardone 10X rule. He goes, that's the book that really got me fired up. And thanks to you for showing me how much success was possible. $30,000 is more money than I ever thought I would make this year. Now, some of you might be thinking $30,000 is not a lot, but let me finish. I keep going and I go, dude, that's awesome, because you got to celebrate success no matter what it is. He goes, yeah, you want to know the best part? I go, what? He goes, I'm only 16 years old. I was floored, bro. That was yesterday. He said, hey, when you launch your new course, man, you can feature my testimony there. Here's this 16-year-old who just went from $300 to $30,000, probably hanging at mom's house playing video games. I don't know what he's doing. He actually seems like a pretty cool entrepreneur. Young kid, man. I'm going, man, that's possible. How crazy is that? And he goes, my goal is to 10x this again. I'd love to make $300,000 a year before I'm 18. I'm going, man, this is crazy. So here's what I did. I've basically spent the last few months interviewing some of the biggest and best people. Today, I spent 2 hours earlier today with a guy named Peter Parks. This guy makes $50 million a year running paid traffic, most of it on Facebook. I'm finding the biggest and the best people out there. I spent 2 hours straight up interviewing him. I broke it all down into a ton of modules, and that's all inside of my new course called Dark Post Profits 2.0, and that's just one section. It's like 15 modules, I think it is, with Peter Parks. The course itself has over 100 modules, so it's crazy because I've created this ultimate resource guide that teaches you everything. It teaches you beginner Facebook advertising, intermediate, advanced, and then super advanced, because everybody starts somewhere different. And it teaches you what's working in 2015. So it focuses on really, it still teaches t-shirts because there's still so much money to be made there. That trend is never going anywhere. But there's really 3 major trends that I focus on in this course. The first trend I focus on is what's called the Shopify revolution, which is building your own storefront. So inside of one day, you can go to Shopify, and for a very low monthly fee, you can have your own e-commerce site set up for you, have your own products in there. You don't even have to ship them out of your house if you don't want. You could have other people drop ship them for you. You're able to accept orders, build your own customer database. It's really cool. It's not for absolute beginners, but it's for intermediate to advanced. And it's a revolution that's going to happen. You're going to hear so much about Shopify and other e-commerce tools over the next, several months. It's going to be crazy, okay? I've got some of the best training, and I interview people who are crushing 6-figure months out of their own stores. So people are making over $100,000 a month selling stuff from their own Shopify store. The next trend that I focus on is the retargeting revolution, and this is every single website and web page that's on the internet. Facebook has created a code for you, and if you put that code on your website, that means every visitor that ever visits your website, you can instantly start advertising to them on Facebook for pennies on the dollar because it's a targeted person, right? So that means if you, Dan, if you click my website, instantly, then you go to Facebook. So let's say you visit my website, you're like, oh, that's cool, Chris Records, whatever, and then you go to Facebook, boom, right in your news feed, I've got another advertisement. I could be selling you something, or I could be giving you something free to generate a lead from you, or I could be putting you through a sales funnel, or I could just be delivering more value and branding myself. And that right there alone is the smartest thing you can do, because I could pay a penny or even less than a penny, far less than a penny, for that impression, for you to see me again. So what happens is it gives the little guy, it gives the little entrepreneur the chance to brand yourself like the next Tony Robbins for pennies on the dollar. It's called the retargeting revolution, and people that jump in this year are going to benefit from it so much, because the year after, everybody's going to start doing this. But right now, only the people that get educated are the ones doing it right. So that's another thing that I teach. So I teach the Shopify revolution, the retargeting revolution, and I also focus on the video marketing revolution. If you go to sites like JVZoo right now, which is a site that people create products and sell them on JVZoo, the top 3 selling products of all time all happened in like the last 6 months or 7, or definitely last like 8 months. And those products are all video products. Video Maker FX, so like 60,000 units, I don't know the odd number. Video Maker FX, Easy Sketch Pro, and Explaindio. These are 3 products that basically give people resources and software to be able to create videos, to be able to create their own videos to promote their own business. And if you look at trends, the top selling software products that entrepreneurs are buying tells you where the market's going. So right now the market is going towards video marketing. It's absolutely going towards video marketing. So what I do is I pretty much exclusively use video for all of my marketing and branding right now, because it's working so well. So the other day I put a video on Facebook, and using the strategy I teach in the course, It was an internet. It was a video for internet marketers. Okay, for entrepreneurs, and that audience is usually really expensive, like $1 or $2 per click for that audience. I was able to get views to my video views to that audience for 1 penny each. 1 penny. So I did a video, a sales video, basically a promotional video. I got like 130,000 views, and the average view is like a penny each. And I have a strategy I teach how to do that. So now, can everybody afford a penny, right? Can everybody afford a penny? Absolutely. So you just determine how much you want it to go. And it's better than something like just YouTube, because now you can create a sales video, you could create a promotional video, you could create a value video, and very, very inexpensive. You can go get, 100, 1,000, 10,000 views just like that. That's never been possible before. You could even do it in a day. That has never been possible before. And it's way cheaper than a penny a view if you get into micro niches. So I have this course, over 100 modules, that teaches all this. And I have software that comes with it that helps you manage all of your stuff on Facebook, all in one clean interface, and it's fully Facebook approved. And I have what's called the Dark Post Ads database. Now, this is the best part of it all. If all anybody ever got was this Dark Post Ads database, it's brilliant. What my team has done here at the office is we've been able to gather 10,000, literally over 10,000 Dark Post ads. I think we've already got like 4,000 loaded up in the database. Over 10,000 examples of people who are successfully advertising on Facebook, even some unsuccessful ones. And you're able to browse by keywords. So you're able to log into Dark Post Profits, the website. You're able to browse by keyword, and say you want to do real estate. And you're able to, boom, it'll pull up, or like real estate investing. Let's get very specific. If somebody had an interest in real estate investing, boom, it pulls up, 100 or 200 ads all about real estate investing. And so you'll be able to go through and you'll be able to reverse engineer what other people are doing. So now, instead of just randomly placing ads that flop on Facebook, you're able to go and see what the pros are doing. What does their thumbnail look like? What is the example text that they're writing above it? How much engagement does it have? How many likes and shares and comments does it have? These are all vital signs that you're able to look at. And you're able to go, wow, this one right here pops. You can look at the designs. And you can do this for any niche you're in. Let's say you're a small business owner. As a small business owner, you type in whatever keywords your business is about, chiropractor or pizza or hair salon or whatever, and boom, up comes some ads that you can look at. If you're a real estate agent, up comes some ads that'll help you figure out how to do, get buyer and seller leads. If you're a network marketer, boom, there's a whole slew. I just looked, there's like hundreds of ads right now. If you're a network marketer and you want to generate leads on Facebook, it's like the easiest thing. But if you do it wrong, you're going to get your account banned, because Facebook doesn't want you to promote network marketing stuff, MLM stuff in the newsfeed. But there's a right way to do it. If you run webinars, let's say you have a webinar and you want to get people on, type in the word webinars into my database and it'll pull up hundreds of other entrepreneurs that are all running webinars. So I have this database, and my team is diligent at getting all these ads in there, and we review them and organize them. This is the holy grail for Facebook advertisers. So in a nutshell, Dan, I can take somebody that's never even set up a Facebook ads account, and I can put them through my course, give them access to the resources, and I give them a master's degree in Facebook advertising. Not an official collegiate master's degree, but equivalent in terms of the best education that's out there for it, because I'm interviewing the best possible people and bringing them into the course and providing training myself. So it's called Dark Post Profits 2.0. Dan, I can get you a link to be able to offer people to be able to do, to be able to have them come on board and get some of the extra bonuses that we're always throwing out, for anybody that comes on board. Because when I do shows and stuff like that, I always try to make sure to hook people up. I'll give you a link, and you can go out there and you can drop it into everybody. And here's the thing that I tell everybody. I say, look, the course has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what I recommend to everybody is go check out the overview, check out the demos on the sales page that Dan will provide you the link. Check out the demos, and then you can purchase the course risk-free. You don't really have any risk at all, because you can get the course and try it out for 30 days. And if the teaching and the education and the value, the software, the database, if all of that isn't worth it, then you can contact us for a refund. But if you really feel like, man, this is phenomenal, then we'd love to earn your business. I'd love to have you as a member. Last year, so many lives changed that This is the most passionate thing that I have going on in my life right now. Even though there's other amazing business projects I'm working on, there's nothing better than helping people be able to have massive income breakthroughs in a trend that's right there. And if people miss this trend, they're going to be kicking themselves for years to come. And and the last thing I'll say is, even if you got a lot going on, if you've already got a business and a company, you don't have time to learn, even if you just do this an hour a day, that's how I got started. I was busy. I was super busy. An hour a day of focus and learning and applying, learning and applying. 1 hour a day, you will get there. You will get there. You'll learn it. So it's worth it even for people that are super busy and don't feel you have the tech skills. I love the challenge. Bring the challenge on. I'd love to see if I can help you get through this course and help you go out there and start making some real dollars online directly in the Facebook newsfeed.
That's awesome. I just want to mention a couple things. Yeah, I'll have a link below the show here for you guys to go check out Dark Post Profits. Personally, I looked through everything, and the database that you were talking about, that alone is worth the cost of admission. I mean, you could go in, search people who are running the same sort of advertising that you want to run. You could look through their funnels, see how they're marketing to these people, even buy their products and see what their upsells are. So that's really invaluable, and I mean, worth the cost of admission alone. And for anybody who wants to learn more about Dark Post Profits, you could check it out at danbrown.tv/Chris, and that's danbrown.tv/Chris with a CH at the beginning. So I'm going to also comp people who buy through that link access to my bonuses. So on top of all the bonuses that you're offering, I know you offer some really cool stuff and you're always adding to that package, but I'm going to also hook you up with some bonuses when you implement Dark Post Profits, and I'll have the link below for that. I mean, check that out right now unless you're driving, but if you're not driving, head over to danbrown.tv/Chris. You could learn more about what Chris has going on and what's going on inside of Dark Post Profits. Now, Chris, thanks so much for getting on the call today. Very appreciative. You shared a ton of stuff, a ton of value. And with that said, are there any last words that you have for our listeners?
Yeah, you know, I'll just wrap up like this, man. Is that this, you know, sometimes you're so passionate about something that you do it even if you aren't getting paid. And I kind of feel like I've done a lot of things in my life, and I feel like the one thing I get the most passionate about is teaching. I take complex topics and I figure out a way to break them down so they're easy to understand in bite-sized pieces. The modules in my course, for example, are written in the format of what you would learn in school. I actually have a course syllabus. So you actually go through sections that are all done in order so you can learn things in a certain order. And it's broken down into bite-sized chunks, like little 5-minute modules. So you can really do them bite-sized. And there's a section for notes that you can save next to each module. So I guess what I'm saying is that if there was something at the core of what I love learning something cutting edge, and I love doing it myself and making sure I understand it, and then I love teaching it. Learn, do, teach. And I think where I get my passion is being able to really teach others and help others. And so, aside from everything, I just like to say if anybody that's listening would love to come join me in Dark Post Profits 2.0 and be part of this revolution, I can promise you that I'll over-deliver in the product, and me and my team will work our what's off to give you the best service possible. I want this to be the best customer experience possible. I get sick to my stomach seeing how much garbage is out there. There's so many courses, there's so many products that are out there that I'm not going to name names or throw anybody in the bus, but there's just a lot of garbage out there, even software that's just flat out garbage. And I'm on a mission to sort of right the wrongs of the industry. I feel like it's a vision and a mission that I'm on to right the wrongs and say, you know what, if somebody's selling an equivalent training like this for $3,000, I'm going to sell it for a fraction so the average person can actually get in and be part of this. If somebody out there is got a course and it's just fluff, I'm going to get in there and have meat and potatoes and nuts and bolts and give people so much. I feel like we can create a community where we can lock arms, hold each other accountable, and go out there and actually create massive success for any niche, any business, anything, learn from each other, and finally have a purchase that we can be happy about. Finally have a purchase our spouses can be happy about. and have the right format where we actually can learn it ourselves and do it. So that's my mission. I just wanted to share that mission. That's what, even if I wasn't getting, you ask yourself every once in a while, if you weren't getting paid, would you still do this? And I kind of feel like, yeah, this fuels me, man. This fuels me. I get really passionate about it, get really excited about helping other people have the breakthrough that they deserve. So I'd love to welcome everybody in advance to Dark Post Profits 2.0. I'll see you in the members area. And when I do, let me know that Dan Brown sent you over, man. That's I think that's just awesome. I think he's got a great show. He's had some great guests, and I'm honored to be one of them. And I look forward to seeing each one of you in the members area of Dark Post Profits 2.0.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. So let's wrap up the call today with just a few words. Just want to say, go get the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Go get Dark Post Profits 2.0 by my man Chris Record. And I'll see you guys in 2015 where we're going to make it the best year ever. Thanks a lot for tuning in to the Digital Business Billionaire Show. I want to just remind you one more time, if you want transcripts of the show, the show notes, and all of that delivered to your email inbox, all you have to do is go over to dbbshow.com and you can sign up to get those absolutely free. That's over at dbbshow.com.